Hi everyone, welcome to the road trip. Today we're going to look at a 1934 Chrysler Airflow. And we have Steve with us. Steve is the owner.
How you doing?
Steve, thank you for showing us your car.
My pleasure.
How many years have you had this car?
I bought this car less than a year ago.
So 2023?
Yes.
Late 2023?
Yes, I did. Yeah, it was about late 23.
Is this the color you bought it in? Did you have to do much to it?
Didn't have to do a ton to it. Ended up rechroming some things. I will say the car had absolutely no brakes when I bought it, which was an adventure getting it out of the trailer.
Yeah.
The car had sat for a number of years. Apparently, a gentleman who was one of the biggest car dealer owners in the Kansas City area had this car and a collection of well over 100 cars. He decided to donate 18 cars to a children's hospital charity. And this was the feature car. And another dealer in the area bought it, and they didn't drive it for 7 years. It sat on display when they decided to sell the car.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And I happened to see it for sale, and that's when I acquired it.
Were you looking for one, or you just fell in love with it?
I had two other Airflows before, and I keep coming back to these. I just love Art Deco.
Yes.
And I wanted to get a 34 specifically. They only made them in 34, 5, 6, and 7. And I wanted this style with the 1934 grille.
Okay.
When I saw the advertisement, I noted that there were no quarter panel windows, and I thought somebody modified it, and I found later that this was a model called the Town Sedan. It was designed for more privacy for the rear passenger.
Town Sedan, that's the official name.
Town Sedan. They made 125 of them. They only made them in the first quarter of production of 1934 only, and there's, I believe, 3 or 5 left. That number's in dispute, but it's could be as little as 3, could be a max of 5. And when I bought the car, when I was signing the deal, I quite frankly thought somebody had modified it and found later that that was an actual model.
Yeah, I've never seen one without the back window, and to be honest, I kind of like it without it.
Yeah, it was the first time I ever saw one in person was when the car was delivered.
It gives it a little bit of a sinister kind of a different look to it. A little more business oriented without the window.
Yeah, and you can tell that it was.
It adds to the Art Deco. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. You can tell it was early in the production year because I found out that these cars were so unpopular with the public when they came out because they were so radical compared to other cars of its day. The grille had 39, they called them waterfalls, and within the first few months of production, they changed the grille to 19, we'll call them ribs. They were wider and spaced further apart. So you know this was early in production because it has the early style grille, which is almost impossible to find anymore, and the fact that it's the Town Sedan model.
Really?
Yeah.
That I didn't know. So they tried to make it a little more pleasing for the public?
Yeah, exactly. The public just was not ready for this kind of car, so they made some changes on the fly to try to appeal more and improve sales.
Wow. It has a little bit of a Volkswagen look to it from certain angles.
My understanding is that I believe Ferdinand Porsche had his hand in designing the Volkswagen, and I was reading some articles that he got a hold of a 34 Airflow and used that as a basis for the Volkswagen Beetle, which we all, grew up with.
I kind of like the grille.
I do too.
The top of it from here, it kind of looks like feathers. It looks like there's almost like a headdress of some sort.
And I've had people who've said that. It does look like that.
This Chrysler emblem, I see you have the wings.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much standard Chrysler stuff from the 30s.
From the 30s. Like I say, this
is it unique to the Airflow, or it's pretty much
unique to the Airflow?
These extended wings.
Extended wings. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, if you wanted to look up Art Deco in automotive design, unless you wanted to go to some ultra expensive French cars, this would be it for American production.
And I see there's 3 bars for the bumper.
Exactly.
That's on all Airflows?
That was 34 models. And I think some of the early 35 DeSoto, but then they went to a solid bumper. So that bumper itself is unusual. And it's my favorite because, again, it has that great Art Deco look to it.
So just to clear it up, you made a good point. DeSoto made an Airflow and Chrysler made an Airflow.
Yeah, so basically you had Chrysler and then you had DeSoto. The DeSoto model was not quite as extensive in terms of options. It was a little bit less expensive.
Yeah.
So it was a slightly less expensive version of the Airflow.
But both brands use the same Airflow name.
Same Airflow name. And they made them 1934, 5, 6, and 7 was the last hurrah.
Didn't they make two doors as well?
They made a two-door coupe. Those are quite rare, but they did make a two-door.
Okay. No convertibles, I guess.
No convertibles.
One of the things about these Airflows was their structural strength and the ability to handle impacts and rollovers.
Yeah, it was the first car that was designed with wind tunnel testing. And we've all seen the video where they literally drive one of these down a steep cliff that hits on the nose, rolls over, ends up on its wheels and drives away.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that people have asked me about is if you look at the top of the car, you have that large rubber component.
Yeah.
And the reason, and I did not know this until a number of years ago, back in the 30s when cars like this were made, they did not have the ability of pressing sheet metal to that size.
Yeah, the tooling wasn't there.
The tooling wasn't there, so they basically made it where you had that big hole in the middle, then they would weld everything together, and they put that in there. It was only a number of years later when they were finally able to.
Was that pretty common in the day?
Very common.
Pretty much every manufacturer did the same thing.
During the 30s, you would see that.
I noticed you've got the split windscreen. These fold out, is that correct? Or
yeah, the windows actually crank out. Each side cranks out, hence the name Airflow. You can literally open the windshield. It cranks open from the bottom. I'll show you using the one on the driver's side as an example.
Look at that. Wow.
This would be
that was your air conditioning in the day.
This was an early version of air conditioning back in the day.
The mechanism in there.
Yeah. It opens up quite a ways.
It does. Pretty neat. And you've got the cowl vents as well?
Yes. So there are handles inside that will allow you to open those vents.
There you go.
And close them.
Why don't we finish looking at the outside before we go to the inside?
All right.
You've got three vent doors here, I guess, for the engine compartment?
Yeah, these open up on both sides. Just allows a little bit more air flow into the engine. Keeps it cool.
And you've got artillery wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Were these the only style wheels available?
Those are the style wheels available.
And these say Chrysler. I guess the DeSoto Airflow would say DeSoto?
You know, as a matter of fact, that is correct. That is correct. I do recall I've seen those before, and it does say DeSoto.
And these headlight bezels are pretty unique looking.
Yeah, they were they were different on 34. Matter of fact, they were different on each of the 4 years that the car was made.
Is this a driving light headlight? Or
yes.
What's this one here do? The bottom one?
Well, that's actually these lights were added aftermarket by somebody.
Yeah.
This was almost like a parking light, and what they did on this car, because the cars did not come with blinkers, a blinker kit was installed, and the blinker light is in the lower pod there.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where the turn signals are.
So there's a blinker light.
Yes.
Turn signals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very unique front end, that's for sure.
It really is.
Very unique. Let me walk around this side. I guess it's pretty much the same thing. You've got the side view mirrors on both sides, which is good.
Yes, on a car like this, it really comes in handy.
How's the vision in there?
It's actually not bad. You have a pretty good sized rear window, so that makes visibility, I will call it okay.
You got the running boards. You got nice skirts back here. Look at the emblem back here. That's actually a bolt, isn't it?
Yes.
How does that work?
And yeah, that's what you use to release the thunder skirt. And if you look really closely, you'll see the same wing pattern as you do on the front hood ornament.
It's got that Art Deco look to it.
Yeah, that very Art Deco.
And around the back, you've got the spare.
Yes. Now this model does not have a trunk that opens from the back. If you pull the back seat, the seat back out, there is storage area behind it. I've had these before like this. I've never pulled the back seat out. Don't plan on doing it with this one, but there is room back there if you needed to store something.
Back there?
Never looked back there.
It could be money or a body.
There could be money or a body. If there is, well, it's going to be there for a while, I guess.
I guess to the next owner. Yes. What is that?
That
door.
Basically, if you open this up, that is the release
tire?
to get the tire. Yes.
How about that?
Gas cap.
Gas cap. The same 3-piece bumper.
And it came with the 1934 Nebraska license plate. I believe that's where the car was originally sold. That's been handed down from the beginning, and I just figured even though I've got it properly titled, I keep that tag on there.
Yeah, it's going to stay with the car.
Yeah.
Can we open up the driver's side?
Sure.
Since we're here. I love the look from this angle, the closed back end with no window.
Mm-hmm.
The roof line, the belt line.
It is different.
Look at this Art Deco door panel in great shape. Wow.
Yeah, this interior was redone at one point in time, was completely restored.
Wow. Can I lean in here?
Absolutely.
What is all this stuff here? I see we got some gauges on the right pod, and your speedometer on the left.
Right. So what you have on either side on the outside are twin glove boxes. And then moving inward, you have twin ashtrays, and then you have the gauge pods. These little handles up here operate the windshield wipers independently. So you can have a windshield wiper operating on one side and the other side, or just one.
Got a lot of knobs here. I guess this switch here. What are we looking at there?
That is a headlight switch. The headlight switch.
Okay.
I remember when I took this to motor vehicle and I had to turn the headlights on, I was like a deer in the headlights. I'm like, man, where is it? Yeah. And I found out that you had like the running lights, the headlights, parking lights. There's all kinds of lights on that switch.
I love the gauges within the pod there, within the gauge.
Yeah, again, very Art Deco look.
Very Art Deco, very nice. What is that crank on the bottom of the dash, that chrome crank?
Let me go on the other side and take a look at it.
I'm sure one of them is the brake release. The other might be for the, I don't know, the cowl vent.
So this is the emergency brake. This pulls out. This is the vent for the other side. The upper vent here.
The cowl vent?
Yes.
Okay.
And since you might ask, I can't even. Oh, this is instrument panel light. So this is the rheostat that makes the lights brighter or darker.
How about that?
And this, of course, the cigarette lighter.
Because everybody smokes.
Back then.
I like the seat pattern. This looks very period. Is this how they would have been with the buttons and the?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, as I'm looking here, that button popped off, and I saved it in the glove box.
How about
so that? I can take it to a professional to get it put back on. I did not want to lose it.
What do you want after 90 years, right?
That absolutely.
Look at the way the design of the seat is. It's cut. It's kind of like
it reminds me of an old Victorian bench seat you'd find in somebody's living room.
It's not straight across.
Yes.
It's got a design to it.
Yeah.
Is this wool?
Yes, it is.
Call that wool?
It is wool.
And I see it's got this chrome bar.
Yes.
Did all of them have that? Is that for some purpose other than design?
That is one of the hallmark designs of the Airflow, that they have the frame for the seat. You have the back suicide doors.
Yeah.
I found some literature, or some original NOS literature on the 34 Airflow after a lot of searching, so I kept that in there.
Wow, looks very comfy back here.
Yeah,
got the same design, that little ribbed.
Yep.
Or looks like a bow tie.
And without those quarter panel windows, there is more privacy back there.
Yeah, I like it without the.
It's almost like an opera coupe, and that's what the design was for.
And the bar goes around the bottom of the seat, too.
Yes, it does.
I guess you can put your feet up there to rest.
Yeah, that was the one thing when I bought the car, that the chrome around the seat was a mess. We had to take the seat out, take the chrome, the whole thing, and take the cage apart, resend it to get it re-chromed and have it redone again.
I see a courtesy light. That switch on the B-pillar, is that to operate that?
Yep, and you see
the doors closed?
And the light up there still works, and if I threw that switch, it would still work.
Let's see. Oh, this one doesn't have one. It's for the passenger side.
Yeah, for the passenger side.
But it's got the courtesy light. The headliner looks beautiful, nice and tight.
Yeah, like I say, whoever restored it did a really good job on it.
Yeah. And I guess that's the control for the seat to go forward and back?
Forward and back, yep. Somebody put a battery disconnect in front there. So I always make sure I
if you got an old car,
that's save those batteries.
Thing you got to do.
Yep.
Save the car for that matter.
Absolutely.
The electrical, if the electrical's not addressed,
oof,
you're just waiting for the fire.
You have a problem.
Let's take a look at the engine bay.
Sure.
I like the suicide doors.
Yeah, that again is a part of the Airflow design.
Is that heavy or more awkward than anything?
It's not heavy, but I just thought of this. You're now witnessing me opening this hood for the very first time since I've owned it. The mechanics have, but I haven't.
Oh, yeah. It's nice to have people, isn't it?
It's good. Yeah, exactly.
What are we looking at, Steve?
You have a 299 cubic inch straight 8. The Chryslers had the 8. The Sotos generally had the 6. I'm not sure of the horsepower rating. I'm guessing it would be around 110, which was pretty standard for back then.
Yeah.
It's not exactly the kind of car you're going to be doing 70 miles an hour on the freeway.
No,
so
as long as you can stay out of the way. That's
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I will say the car runs rather well. The one thing was, as I'm thinking about it, the radiator, when they did a test on it and found that it was 80% blocked. And they sent it out to a very specialized radiator shop, and they sent me some photos, and they said that what they were looking at in the radiator probably goes back to when the car was brand new in 1934. He goes, I can't see any evidence that the radiator was ever serviced before. So that was an extensive job getting that thing redone.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I'm surprised the motor didn't overheat.
Well, I guess because of the fact that it sat for so long on display from the 2 previous owners. By the way, there was a story. The previous owner to the car dealer in Kansas City buying it, there was a gentleman, an attorney in Chicago, who owned this car. And he loved the car so much that when he put the car in his garage, the wall backed up to his living room. So he ripped out the wall and put a glass wall, so when he was sitting watching TV, he could look at the airflow off to the side in the garage. It's strange, but that was the true story that came with the car.
You probably just gave somebody an idea.
I know. I'm going to piss off somebody's wife.
Somebody's wife right
somebody's
now.
Somebody's wife is going to be calling me in anger.
Yes. It looks nice and clean in here. Any idea what the miles, how many miles are on this? I didn't look at the speedometer.
You know something? I don't. I'm going to take a look, and I don't know if it's original, but I'm going to get my first glance at this. Well, I know that the odometer is not correct because it's 525 miles. That would have been since the restoration. So how many miles this car had been driven before, I have absolutely no idea.
Look at the access to the radiator. The radiator cap's over there.
Way over there.
And then it funnels down the side.
Yeah, exactly.
The radiator. I've never seen that before.
I hadn't either. It's a very unusual design.
Round steering column. Twin horns.
Mm-hmm.
Does it sound unique or just a standard?
No, just a standard old horn.
It looks nice and clean here, very presentable. How's it run for you?
It runs well. The thing I have to get used to is back then you didn't have synchronizers in the transmission.
Yeah.
So you're either double clutching or you're trying to get the RPM synced up to the transmission. So it's something you have to get used to.
Yeah.
You know, you will grind some gears if you aren't familiar with it.
Somebody added an electric fan.
Yes.
Good idea.
Yeah, that was added. I didn't do that. That was added by the previous owner, but I'm guessing it was cheaper to add that than to do what I had to do with the radiator and get it redone.
Yeah. I hear you.
So between getting the radiator done and that fan, it should keep it from overheating now going forward.
The color of this car, I got to be honest with you, it's very unusual. I didn't expect to see it. When you told me you had it, I didn't expect to see it in this color.
It's called Sultana Tan, S-U-L-T-A-N-A. And who comes up with those fancy names? I don't know. It looks more yellowish. It's like a light yellow, an off yellow to me.
Yeah.
More than a tan, but that's what they call it.
I like it.
I do too.
I like it. I think this car, I would say most of them were probably dark colored.
Yeah.
Blacks, dark grays.
I had one that was a maroon, dark maroon, and I had another one that was like a real dark tan and brown.
Yeah.
So this is a brighter color, but this was a factory color for the car.
Well, it looks nice. I
Yeah.
like it.
I do too. Yeah, like I say, they weren't big sellers. The car bombed, quite frankly, but now they're rather desirable. People want them.
What's old is new again,
Yeah,
especially in the
exactly.
classic car world.
Absolutely.
Well, I love it. I love the Art Deco look, the two-piece rear window, the fold-out front windscreen, everything about it. What are your plans for it? You going to try to show it, drive it, just enjoy it?
No, I'm showing it, driving it. I'm not going to drive it real long distance. It's just not a kind of car where you're going to be on the interstate. But if I can plan some local shows and maybe trailer it more long distance, I just to me, my job is to be the caretaker, make sure the car stays as nice as possible, and then when it's my turn to sell it, hopefully find somebody else who's going to respect it as much.
You are the caretaker.
Absolutely.
I mean, we're all saving these cars for the next generation.
That to me is very important.
We do have a responsibility.
Very important one.
Well, Steve, thank you for showing us this car.
My pleasure.
Folks, tell me what you think. 1934 Chrysler Airflow. Leave your comments below. Definitely subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.